two flat on one. WDCE shining sun. Top 3 in the radio race. Sound NewsMan takes first place. Sound NewsMan only there. Feel the groove everywhere. College spirit makes us proud. Rich voices sing out loud. Corporate giant shake with fear. Sales beats ring far and near. Students cheer and spread the word. Sam's the one you must have heard. From the campus to the town, no one brings the station down. Independent all the way. Sam NewsMan forever stay. Sam NewsMan only there. Feel the groove everywhere. College spirit makes us proud. Rich voices sing out loud.
You could accept the fact that the city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportion. What do you mean this Old Testament there? Real wrath of God type stuff. Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling. 4 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes. Theocracy from the grave. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. That's hysteria.
Have you ever watched something so dumb that it actually made you smarter? And I know that you have. I know that all of you have. And I'm telling you, congratulations if you haven't, because you're not watching the same garbage that I do every single week so that you don't have to. No, I'm telling you, that's pretty much the whole case here, is that I get to sit there and suffer through all this nonsense every single week so that you don't have to. Listen, I'm telling you what, I'm looking out for you in the process as I'm doing it. This week, whew, man, I don't even know really where to begin. We got ourselves a double feature of human regression. You know, I talk about this all the time, the reason why here I am a puppet. And I'm telling you right now, that this week, I really did, I was not expecting a couple of things to show up on my interview bingo card. It was absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, first we have now, and I'm telling you, when we're thinking about really what's going on, the whole world's on fire at the moment. I mean, you know that, right? And people want to sit there and say, oh, well, everything's okay. Everything's fine. Yeah, it's fine, all right. But unfortunately, I can't tell you what fine means due to FCC regulations. To find me somewhere else, and I can tell you what fine is all about. But here we are, and it's like I said, it's, so yeah, you're welcome. So Collected Disconnect says, thank you for your sacrifice. Well, I mean, I do the best that I can. At least I have to pay attention to all this nonsense in the zeitgeist so you don't have to. And I'm not saying you have to sit there and believe what I say, but you do need to take it with a grain of salt and maybe, kick it back with maybe a shot of whiskey, because this is absolute, I'm telling you. So like I said, it's a double feature of human regression, starring 2 men who can't shut up and 2 audiences who won't stop clapping. So, and I'm telling you, it's very interesting how this all went down. Because like I said, I did not have either of these interviews on my bingo card. And I didn't even have this as something that I would talk about at the beginning of the week. I thought I was going to come here, talk to everybody about, hey, here's an update on the world burning, World War III update. No, here it is. It's just here we have Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz, as I like to call it, two boneheads and no brain cells. I mean, it's probably it's absolutely ridiculous. I'm not sure if you watch this. And like I said, there's another interview that we'll be going over in just a few moments, which that wasn't on my bingo card either. But let's just start with this one. Let's start with this one, ladies and gentlemen. And that is, like I said, Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz. And right out of the gate, Tucker decides to hit Cruz with probably the easiest foreign policy question ever. And you know what that is? How many people are in Iran, that live in Iran? I mean, it seems like a very simple question out of the gate, right? And, when you're going to invade a country, if you're going to bomb the hell out of a country, probably very simple, right? To understand, that question and know how many people are in a country that you're about to go to war with. So this is Iran that we're talking about. Like I said, the country that Ted Cruz wants to bomb so badly that, he probably writes, I bomb Iran in his dream journal. So, but old Ted pauses and does that thing where his eyes go blank, like he just smelled his own spray tan, finally burst out, I don't know, 80 million? Wrong. Try again, Ted. It's 90 million. And that's not a small miss, by the way. That's 10 million people. 10 million human beings that Ted Cruz forgot existed while planning to blow their country right off the map. But sure, let's trust this guy with military strategy. Sounds like a great idea, right? Then in classic Ted form, instead of taking the L like a man, he goes full whiny senator mode. This is a gotcha interview. Ted, yo, chill out, Ted. Asking how many people live in a country that you foam at the mouth about invading isn't a gotcha question. It's called doing your damn job. If you're going to play global cop, maybe read the file first. But wait, hold on. It gets better. It gets even better than that. Because Ted gets all biblical. I mean, literally, he gets all biblical about things, talking about God's eternal covenant with Israel, as if he thinks U.S. foreign policy should be based on an episode of VeggieTales. Apparently, he thinks Tel Aviv is still run by prophets in sandals, and that the Iron Dome is divine intervention. Man's quoting scripture like it's a Pentagon press release, for God's sake. Apparently, he thinks Tel Aviv, like I said, is... And I don't get it. This is not diplomacy. This is Bible cosplay. That's what it is. And if you want your war plan, it starts with Genesis. If that's where you're going, it's like, hey, listen, we're gonna go to Genesis right now, and that will be our war plan. Please do me a favor and sit down and shut up. And Tucker Carlson is the one sitting there going, wait, what the hell are you saying right now? And so Tucker here ends up becoming the voice of reason, and you've wandered too far off the path. Turn back immediately. What has happened? I've sit there and seen this the entire week, or the last couple of days, Ed, rather, with everyone sitting there saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm agreeing with Tucker Carlson. People are agreeing I've seen so many leftists, so many people who are social. Listen, I've seen people who are anarchists, who don't want to have any government whatsoever, sitting there saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I'm agreeing with Tucker Carlson. And it is absolutely true. I mean, because I would have never thought that I would see people sitting there saying, hey, guess what? Tucker is right. These are people that could not stand Tucker when he was at Fox News. But now, all of a sudden, he's the voice of reason? Absolutely. But, that's just one part. That's just one part. So here we have Ted Cruz. We have Tucker Carlson talking about Iran going all biblical and everything. And then here's this one. Here's this one. Because this one, I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, I understand the whole, Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson. Tucker used to live in D.C., work in D.C., so he kind of knows that whole operation. So not too surprising that we have Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz with an interview. But here's the one that I did not have on my bingo card. The cultural version of idiocy. That's right, yeah. Andrew Tate, ladies and gentlemen, and Bonnie Blue. I'm going to say that again. Like I said, this just happened last night. It was Andrew Tate and Bonnie Blue. Talk about a 2.5-hour brain cell genocide disguised as a debate. Now, I don't know who thought that this pairing was a good idea. Probably Satan. But what we got was pure digital diarrhea. Bonnie Blue rolls in like a liberal arts thesis with eyelashes, ready to throw hands for feminism and sexual empowerment. And she's got her sex work talking points, her Instagram-ready outrage, and the smugness of someone who thinks a retweet equals a revolution. And then there's Tate, looking like the final boss of insecure masculinity. Shirt too tight, ego too big. That smug little smirk, he says, I'm not debating you, I'm toying with you. And that's exactly what he did. She thought that she was trading ideas, but that's not the case. He was clowning her for 2 hours straight. And here's the real kicker, she didn't even know it. He'd nod, he'd bait her, toss out a fake deep one-liner, and she just gobble it up like it was gospel. Her, can I consent to touch you? Him, yes, you can. And she smiled, just like she dunked on him. Honey, you're getting played. He's trolling you like it's a sport. And you're handing him the ball every time. Now, this wasn't a debate. It was one guy performing satire and one woman accidentally starring. Because here's the real thing. When you're in a joke and you don't know that you're the punchline, you're not the hero. You're the meme. So now look, I'm not defending Tate. This guy is a walking red flag with a Bugatti. But at least he knows what he's doing. But old Bonnie Blue, she brought PowerPoint slides to a roast battle. She walked into the lion's den wearing raw meat and wondered why it got loud. Both of them are garbage. Let's not kid ourselves. One monetizing fragile men, the other one monetizing fragile feminism. They just wear different filters. And the worst part about all of it, millions of people watched. That's right. Millions. Teens, kids, people looking for role models. And instead, what do they get? Two brands battling for attention like it was Thunderdome for the terminally online. So here we are. We have a U.S. senator trying to justify Middle East policies using verses from Exodus. A guy who thinks he's the second coming of Genghis Khan making fun of feminism to its face. And a woman so locked into her ideology, she doesn't realize she's in a parody of her own talking points. And all of it is being consumed like it's gospel by people who can't even be bothered to fact check anything unless it's in a TikTok reel with a cool translation. Oh, and captions as well. Don't forget the captions. So, but what this is, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you right now, this is not a debate. Neither one of these was a debate. What this was a talent show for the end of civilization. I'm going to say that again. Yes, a talent show for the end of civilization. Go ahead and mark your calendars. The first day of summer. Here it is, the 6th day I'm sorry, the 6th month. Sorry, it's the 21st day here in the 6th month, June 21st, the year 2025. First day of summer. And here we are with all of this nonsense. But have no fear, I am here, setting the standard and raising the bar here on the only award-winning radio show dedicated to your sanity at this moment. From the most trusted puppet in media, reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam NewsMan, and this is SideShow Infotainment. And let me make it clear, we are a country with nukes, with drones, with AI, being led by Bible thumpers with no maps, influencers with no shame, and voters who think being loud is the same thing as being right. Ladies and gentlemen, we've turned politics into performance. We've turned culture into content. And we've turned the future into a punchline. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you right now, humanity is not falling off a cliff. Humanity has already jumped. And now, in the process of filming it in slow motion, just for the sake of views. And that's the truth. Because here we are, I'm sitting there thinking about this and looking around and seeing that this is not, well, I mean, it's par for the course. And maybe this is the reason why. I mean, we have these distractions like we always do, taking our eyes off of really what's going on. Now, of course, in the meantime, as you're sitting there thinking about Iran and Israel, and then we have Bonnie Blue and Andrew Tate, still, I don't hear anybody talking about Palantir and all of the contracts that they have as they go ahead and set up a system of surveillance locked in step with the CIA and the FBI. But nobody's talking about that. They're talking about the clown show that everybody else is just kind of paying attention to. And I can tell you, I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that it's just, you can't make this stuff up. You really can't. And there's more to it than just that. As I sit there and I pull this up right now, I'm sitting there looking at things. Let's see here. Hold on. Let me go ahead and pull this up here. All right, there we go. Oh, do we get it up? We did. Okay, now this is great. So we have day 9. This is day 9. And of course, people are asking, is Tehran playing Trump? Iran is issuing new warnings. So, and the Ayatollah is naming successors from the bunker. So, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, we're just getting started. Israel saying that it killed 3 commanders, including a leader overseeing proxy militias. The Ayatollah is being guarded by a unit no one even knew existed. Iranians are rattled as cash runs short and fear spikes. Callers hearing robotic voices when they try to reach relatives. The latest propaganda tool on social media? Lego. No, I'm serious. Lego. Its latest propaganda. Did you see this? Iran unveils its latest propaganda tool on social media is Lego. Propaganda videos show Trump and Netanyahu with the devil before missiles rain down on Tel Aviv. So it's a video featuring Lego characters, and the clip was released by a news agency controlled by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard. Like I said, featuring Lego figures of Trump, Netanyahu speaking to the devil before a barrage of missiles rained down on Israeli buildings and citizens. A Lego U.S. president is also shown eating a burger while arguing with the Israeli prime minister. So the latest attempt at anti-Western propaganda from Iran depicts an Israeli flag burning while Lego figures in other Arabic countries celebrate. We're the ones who control the game, a message at the end of the video says, which was published on social media by FARS, F-A-R-S, Iran's state-backed news agency. The clip has been published as part of an ongoing propaganda battle between Israel and Iran, as both countries attempt to win support from audiences on social media. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, absolutely ridiculous of what's going on right now. Now, as I'm sitting there going over these things, I'm sitting there looking at other news stories. Did you hear about the heat wave that's coming? 100+ degree temperatures will affect 170 million people here on the East Coast over the next couple of days. We were talking about this in the last hour. But of course, what you're going to hear is you're going to hear some moron who's going to leave their kid in a car, and that kid's going to end up dying out of a heat stroke. Because why? We live in a country and we live in a time where people don't even pay attention. People are so tunnel vision, they don't even remember that they have a child in a booster seat in the back seat of a car and will just walk inside a store and leave their kid cooking in the back seat. I already heard that there's already been one tragedy down in Florida. So it's already happened. So I just want to tell everybody, just be safe over the next couple of days and just be aware, specifically you parents out there. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. We've got a couple of other things, of course, I'm looking at right now. Oh my gosh, here's one right here. What? Man, no. Do we really want to talk about that? That sounds terrible. Okay, so I do have another story here, ladies and gentlemen. It's coming across my feed right now. How many of you celebrate your birthday? You know, I've heard people say that there's no such thing as a birthday and that you only have one birthday and that every other day is just an anniversary of that day. So I'm not really sure about the whole birthday thing. I mean, you know, my birthday, April the 1st, 1901. That's right, 124. Been doing this a long time, been reporting since Roswell. But I tell you, one of the interesting things that I just see here right now is that you're significantly more likely to die on your birthday. And so this might even change your birthday wish. When our special day rolls around, we're often torn between celebrating another year of wisdom and dreading the march of time. But the birthday effect adds a curious twist to this age-old celebration. The birthday effect is a statistical phenomenon and a real party pooper, if you ask me, in which a person's likelihood of dying is higher on or around their own birthday. And this somewhat gloomy discovery has been validated by various studies, which identified a 13.8% rise in the number of people aged 60 and older who meet their end on their actual birthday compared to other days. Similarly, another study in the US, on average, the risk of dying on your birthday is 6.7% higher. So the question, of course, is why does this particular phenomenon occur? Well, there are a few theories. First, birthdays often lead to over-the-top celebrations with excessive consumption of alcohol. This can increase risky behavior and poor decision-making, which result in more accidents, particularly drunk driving incidents. For some individuals grappling with terminal illness, the birthday serves as a significant milestone to aim for. One theory is that they're able to muster the strength to make it to one more candle on the cake before letting it go. Birthdays can also trigger introspection and sometimes lead to birthday blues, characterized by sadness or depression. These feelings often stem from unmet expectations, reflections on aging, loneliness, and stress. Tragically, these emotions can elevate the risk of suicide, which was found in another study that showed the likelihood of people committing suicide on their birthday was 50% higher than any other day. Another possibility is that death registration records might contain inaccuracies, with some individuals mistakenly recorded as having the same birth and death dates. However, these errors are unlikely to significantly distort the results to the extent observed. The birthday effect is a complex phenomenon that is yet to be fully understood and could be influenced by a combination of all the factors mentioned above and maybe more besides. So, when your birthday comes around, go ahead and blow out those candles, but maybe skip that extra shot of tequila. Well, I mean, that's where you went wrong in the first place. I mean, you had tequila. I mean, tequila is absolutely disgusting. It really is. I mean, for me, people always say, hey, so what do you prefer, Sam? Well, I prefer a whiskey and ginger. Yeah, whiskey and ginger is my drink of choice. That is if I don't have Bailey's in my coffee. So, but I know a lot of people are, the people like Bloody Marys. There's another one, mimosas. So mimosas and Bloody Mary, I would probably say that I'm more of a mimosa guy myself. But but the reality is it's just Bailey's in the coffee. That's really the best thing. So, but it's just absolutely insane all across the board. Oh, did you see where Nancy Pelosi's portfolio outperforms every large hedge fund with stunning returns? It has nothing to do with insider trading, I swear. It's true. Yeah, I've never understood this, that how people who only have a $200,000 salary, 200,000 plus or whatever it is for Congress, and the next thing you know, after 5 or 6 years, they're multimillionaires. Nancy Pelosi, probably a billionaire. But, all of her records, hey, you know what? She's smarter than the hedge funds. And her portfolio outperforms every large hedge funds out there. So you just can't make this up. You can't make it up, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you right now, absolutely ridiculous. I was going to talk about killer drones and stuff, but it seems like, you ever sit there and go online and you get a link somewhere and it's like, hey, check out this article. And then what happens is what? You get stuck behind a paywall. So it always just bothers me that there's some kind of paywall in the way. But do we have any good news? Do we have any good news yet? No, we don't. I want to find some good news. Can we have some good news? Good news? Like, I want to just end with some good news, ladies and gentlemen. Because as I'm sitting there looking at all this, oh, here it is, the Good News Network. Here you go, the source of good news. Let's do this. So let's see if there's any good news on the Good News Network. I'm looking around here. No. CRISPR used to remove extra chromosomes in lab model of Down syndrome and restore cell function. Oh, well, that's very interesting. Let's see here. Anything else that we have? UK Zoo helps hatch 3 of world's rarest birds, blue-eyed doves, with only 11 left in the wild. I guess that's good news. Captain Cook's ship, the Endeavour, finally located after 250 years, sunken off the coast of Rhode Island. That's good news as well. I want to see some good news. Is there something that has been out there that is just like, hey, this is great. This is inspiring. Oh, here you go. Positive news. Let's try this. Positive news. Let's see here. No. You know what? And then I look at these, and these are all just, oh my gosh. These are not positive. This is propaganda. So you know what, ladies and gentlemen, good grief. I'll tell you what I'll do. So I have a couple of books here how to laugh in the ironic amusement during your existential crisis, which seems to be the case for everybody. So here it is right here, this little book right here, this little shiny book. You hold that up there, right? But as I'm looking through this book, it says a man suffers only because he takes seriously what the gods made for fun. That's true. And that is true. Now I have that little book, but probably the one book, and I'll tell you what, this is where we'll end things, is that we'll end things with, of course, Mr. Rogers. Here it is, 11:40 on the 21st day in June, the summer solstice. This is the longest day of the year. That's what they say. But here we are. Listen, I have this little book right here. You know, Mr. Rogers is absolutely amazing. You know, there's a Mr. Rogers channel on Pluto TV, and that Pluto TV channel just loops episodes of Mr. Rogers over and over and over again. And I tell you what, if there's something that you would like to do and to feel better about yourself every single day, you need to turn on the Mr. Rogers channel on Pluto TV. They're not getting paid for this or anything. I'm not getting paid for this. I'm just telling you that, you know, what will happen is that if you start watching Mr. Rogers on a daily basis, when you go out in public, you know what you'll start asking yourself? When you start making choices, would Fred approve? Would Fred approve of this decision? That should be the lens that everybody should walk around with. Is does Fred approve? Because I'm telling you right now, as I'm looking at everything, I'm looking at the news, and I'm looking at how people choose and make choices, I think that everybody needs a little bit more Fred Rogers in their life. So here I have this, like I said, I have this little book here. And let's see here. If I'm going to, we are all neighbors. So here we go. This is great. This is great. In every neighborhood all across our country, there are good people insisting on a good start for the young and doing something about it. Another one we have, music has given me a way of expressing my feelings and my thoughts, and has also given me a way of understanding more about life. For example, as you play together in a symphony orchestra, you can appreciate that each musician has something fine to offer. Each one is different, and each has a different song to sing. When you sing together, you make one voice. And that's true of all endeavors, not just musical ones. Finding ways to harmonize our uniqueness with the uniqueness of others can be the most fun and the most rewarding of all. Once again, that is from Mr. Rogers. And I'm going to read maybe one more. Let's see if we pull one more up here. Let's see. Do we have? Aha, here we go. I'll read two more, and then we'll head out of here in just a few moments. There is no normal life that is free of pain. It's the very wrestling with our problems that can be the impetus for our growth. And lastly, I hope you're proud of yourself for the times you've said yes, when all it meant was extra work for you and was seemingly helpful only to somebody else. And that's really what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen, is doing unto others before they do unto you. Right? No, wait, we do unto, is that how it goes? You do unto others, is it at, yeah, right. Do unto others before they do unto you. Yeah, because you want to do it first, right? Because if you did it first, then that means that you don't have to worry about them doing it to you. What do you mean that's wrong? That's exactly how that's the phrase, right? Do unto others before they do unto you. Because the last thing you want someone to do is do you harm before you do it to them. No, I'm not sitting there saying you got to do harm to anybody. No, but just do unto others before they do unto you. So that you could take that as a compliments, right? Give people a compliment before they compliment you, right? Well, I don't know. Anyways, shout out, of course, to everybody in the chat. I see all of you down there. And next week, maybe I guess Exertus will come back. He was not going to be around today. He has some kind of event, some cultural dramatic event, not dramatic, Germanic. Is that how you say it? Some German event. Because over in Germany, he's about 9 hours ahead of us, I believe, something to that effect. But hopefully Exertus will be back with us next week, kind of give us an update of all some crazy stuff going. Did you see that he had an interview with David Icke? Yeah, I think it's over 50,000 views now at this point. But that was an incredible interview. And I do recommend that all of you, if you haven't watched that interview with David Icke and Exertus, definitely check it out, because it was definitely matrix melting interview. And once again, that is David Icke with Exertus, probably one of the best interviews of the year that I've seen so far, which is saying something, because when I'm sitting there thinking of all the other interviews and debates and Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson and Bonnie Blue and Andrew Tate, it's the end of civilization, ladies and gentlemen. Everything is a meme now. And here we are, just a bunch of watchers looking like Michael Jackson feeding himself popcorn in theater. So anyways, like I said, shout out to Exertus. We are broadcasting on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and X. We did fire up the Twitch again, which is always nice. I've heard there's been some issues with the radio feed throughout the morning, so we apologize for that. Has to be maybe because of the weather, but it is one of those days. Now, I'm going to head out of here. Would like for all of you to do me a favor. Download the Live 365 app. Download the Live 365 app. Search WDCE. And you'll be able to listen to the radio-only segments, because Citizen Germ will be coming up here in just a moment. When he comes up here, he'll be talking a little bit about kind of what really has happened throughout the week, some of the things that he's learned. And, of course, we kind of call that the Mr. Rogers segment with Citizen Germ. Kind of take all of what we've done today, everything, wrap it all back up into a nice bow, and just let everybody realize the weekend's going to be just fine. So that is the Live 365 app. Search WDCE. Also, you can go to WDCE.org or WDCE.net. Of course, as we always do when we close out the show, talk about a little bit of SideShow infotainment, because through political correctness, we can't see life as it may be. That world hidden from you and me. I just laugh and start to sing. Ha ha ha! It's SideShow infotainment. Politicians and news anchors, and talking points that make my eardrums bleed. Oh, that Game of Thrones is what they play. A house of cards just day by day. Voters lose in every way. It's just like I always say. Oh, it's SideShow infotainment, politicians and news anchors, and talking points that make my eardrums bleed. Yeah. Donald Trump's got quite the past, with a Mideast war all up his ass. Bomb Iran should be coming fast. But all the world's a stage and he is laughing last. Oh, it's SideShow, infotainment, politicians and news anchors, and talking points that make my eardrums bleed. The most trusted puppet in media is me. Reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam Newsman, and this is SideShow Infotainment.